On the 3rd of January 2026, Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, and his wife Celia Flores were captured by United States forces in an attack on Venezuela. This news was first announced by the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault, and it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
The Venezuelan president has since been flown to the US, where he is being detained and prosecuted on drug trafficking charges. This attack on Venezuela, a sovereign nation, and the capture of its president has been widely described by legal experts as being illegal under international law. For many Africans, the feeling is one of indifference, as they think what is happening in Venezuela is unrelated to Africa, and that their weak and small countries have no business condemning the attack on Venezuela, as it could upset the mighty United States. Take for an example, the reaction to the very strong statement issued by Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs against the US attack on Venezuela and the capture of President Maduro. The statement, which made clear Ghana's unequivocal opposition to the violation of Venezuela's sovereignty, was met with significant disapproval from many Ghanaians. A common sentiment was that Ghana will be better served minding her own business rather than speaking up and risking the wrath of the United States. Yes, Venezuela may be on a different continent, but what these Ghanaians and other Africans who think like them need to understand is that there are many reasons for small and relatively weak countries like Ghana and virtually all other African countries to be very worried, especially as President Trump and other officials in his administration have made it clear that Venezuela is only the beginning. They have already put Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Iran, and Greenland on notice.
Is the Cuban government the Trump administration's next target, Mr. Secretary? Very quickly.
Well, the Cuban government is a huge problem. Yeah, the Cuban government is a huge problem. First of all,
so is that a yes?
Cuba, but I don't think people fully appreciate. I think they're in a lot of trouble, yes.
So proud of what the president did, and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and everybody, our military, Maria Corina Machado, and what they did in Venezuela is going to change Latin America. This is the start of changing Venezuela. Then we're going to fix Cuba. Nicaragua will get fixed. Next year we'll get a new president in Colombia. We're going to start, the democracy is coming back to this hemisphere.
How long do you think it will be before any of the many small and weak countries in Africa are targeted too? If oil-rich Venezuela, with around 30 million people, can be attacked and have its president captured and sent to the US in such a manner, who is to say the same cannot be done to Senegal, Botswana, Ghana, or any other African country? In the early 1960s, Kwame Nkrumah had become famous not just for the historic transformation he was bringing about in Ghana, but also for his impassioned and persistent calls for African countries to unite. His desperation for this to become a reality was clear for all to see, and most people then and now did not understand him or appreciate his urgency.
Only a united Africa under a union government can cure us of our economic ills and lift us out of our despair and frustration. I make this sincere and serious appeal to you in the interest of our common progress, our security, and our future well-being.
For Nkrumah, African unity was a matter of survival, and if it was not achieved, it was going to spell doom for all the countries in Africa. There were many at the time who thought he was being alarmist and did not share his view that African unity was essential for the survival, security, and progress of all Africa. But today, over 60 years on, the actions of the US government, led by President Donald Trump, is showing that Kwame Nkrumah was right when he said that African unity is the only way to guarantee Africa's security.
We should without delay, aimed at the creation of a joint African military command. There is little wisdom in our present separate effort to build up and maintain defense forces, which, in any case, would be ineffective in a major world conflict. If we examine this problem realistically, we would ask, which single African state could protect itself against an imperialist aggressor? And how much more difficult this would be when some states are allowing the imperialists to maintain bases on their territories.
Which of Africa's 54 countries can realistically defend itself against an attack from a superpower like the United States? Should President Trump decide to target any African country, what chance would that country stand? This is exactly what gave Kwame Nkrumah sleepless nights over 60 years ago. Virtually all African countries are incapable of defending themselves in the event of an attack by a global superpower. Today, more than ever, it is abundantly clear that we live in a world where strength and size is what matters most. A world where might makes right, survival of the fittest. If you're a small and weak country, you are simply a prey for the big and strong countries. And as the US has just demonstrated with Venezuela, they can attack any small country whenever they want. No appeals to international law or the United Nations will save you.
The president said our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime.
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop, and that's law. Very good. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people.
For Africa, our own history when it comes to foreign interventions should provide enough lessons to learn from. From the foreign machinations that brought about the brutal assassination of the Congo's first Prime Minister, Patrice Lumumba, to NATO's bombing of Libya in 2011. In fact, to see that the US has no regard for the sovereignty of small countries, we do not have to only look at what is happening to Venezuela today. The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, has publicly spoken about how several African leaders were ordered to turn back when they attempted to go to Libya in an effort to bring peace in 2011.
Now, when this problem of Libya started, the African Union, with our chairman, who is here now, this gentleman here, they formed a committee of a few of us. I think we were 6. I was one of them. The whole of the African Union gave that committee a mandate to look for a solution for the Libyan problem. Now, on one occasion, I didn't go that time. These excellencies, this one here, Jacob Zuma, and the others, I was not there, but my minister was among them. They entered a plane in Nouakchott in his place. They were going to Libya to mediate. And they were told by NATO to go back. Yes. Said, you go back. Yes, he's here. If I'm telling you lies, African presidents on an African mission over African soil were ordered by NATO to go back. That NATO has not allowed them to land in Libya. Now, we call this in Swahili, dharau. Contempt. This is contempt.
Should this and the subsequent destruction of Libya not have been enough to show all of us in Africa that, in our separate ways, we are at the mercy of the powerful states? Sadly, Muammar Gaddafi, who was eventually killed during the NATO bombing of Libya, was the only African leader in recent history who actively worked to make the African unity idea of Kwame Nkrumah a reality. Today, African countries still remain pawns who are at the mercy of the superpowers of this world. As Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah said prophetically 60 years ago, I can see no security for African states Unless African leaders have realized beyond all doubt that salvation for Africa lies in unity. For in unity lies strength, and as I see it, African states must unite or sell themselves out to imperialist and colonialist exploiters for a mess of pottage, or disintegrate individually. The choice is simple. Will African countries unite to make it possible for Africa to also become a superpower, capable of defending itself? Or will they choose to remain on the menu to be feasted upon by the superpowers?
If you're not at the table in the international system, you're going to be on the menu.
In light of the renewed assertiveness of the United States, even the Europeans, their traditional allies, are beginning to understand the need to defend their own interests. France's Junior Army Minister, Alice Rufo, has described the new American security strategy as an extremely brutal clarification of the United States' ideological posture, and noted that we live in a world of carnivores. Europe is no island, and Europe will be respected only if it knows how to make itself respected. The German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, has also said that the erosion of the world order has already reached an advanced stage, and that smaller, weaker states risked becoming completely defenseless. Also, he has expressed his fear that entire regions could be treated as the property of a few great powers. In response, he has called for European security policy to be revised and made clear that it was imperative for Germany to be strong militarily, as they cannot afford to be weak. If this is the assessment of the Europeans, who have the European Union and are in a much better position compared to Africa, then what should be Africa's position? In South America, there are renewed calls for unity in response to the US attack on Venezuela. Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, has called for a resurrection of the Grand Colombia idea of Simón Bolívar. Popularly known as the Liberator, Simón Bolívar liberated 6 countries in South America, namely Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, Peru, and the country named after him, Bolivia. Right after this, he formed a union called Gran Colombia, made up of 4 of these countries, specifically Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama. Simón Bolívar saw South American unity as the only effective way to resist foreign domination and recolonization. But unfortunately, the union would only last from 1819 to 1831. Nearly 2 centuries on, the current president of Colombia is leading calls to restore Gran Colombia by uniting South American countries. In Africa, the leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have heeded the calls of Kwame Nkrumah and formed a union known as the Alliance of Sahel States.
Il faut que les gens comprennent qu'un rang dispersé, ça sera difficile. On va se battre, mais il faut que l'Afrique arrive à s'unir. Et plus on s'unit, plus on est efficace.
As history and the present state of affairs in the world shows, the many small and weak countries in Africa can only effectively defend themselves and move forward if they unite. 60 years ago, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah warned that there was no time to waste and Africa should unite immediately.
This African Union now, there is no time to waste. We must unite or we perish.
This call was not heeded and many decades have been wasted, but as the optimists like to say, it is never too late. Today, Kwame Nkrumah stands vindicated in his strong insistence that Africa must unite. The question remains, will Africa unite or perish?
Don't let us also forget that colonialism and imperialism may come to us yet in a different guise, not necessarily from Europe. We must alert ourselves to be able to recognize this when it rears its head and prepare ourselves to fight against it.
In ending, I want to reiterate another prescient observation of Kwame Nkrumah. It is clear that we must find an African solution to our problems, and that this can only be found in African unity. Divided, we are weak. United, Africa could become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. At this point, I need to call on you to please consider supporting our work financially so we can keep this going, as it takes a lot to make these videos. So if you see any value in our content, please consider supporting. The links to do so are in the description box of this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it to others. It goes a long way. Asante sana.